The following program has been rated 16 by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore not suitable for persons under the age of 16.
Hello viewer, welcome to our today's episode on Chungu cha Jamii with me, Kate Waliaro. Now today we have a very interesting topic that I know you're going to be happy about. Now recently you've seen around that there is a gospel artist or musician in Nigeria who was murdered by her husband. She is Osinachi, I think. And we can also look around. There's a lot of such things happening around. There's also a lady who was beaten up by her in-laws. You know, all these cases are going around, and that's why today we have this sitting so that we can talk about this and we see how we can overcome it so that we have a happy society. Even in yourselves, in your homes, you want to live a happy life without, fighting each other, because at the end of the day, it's only us who are here and you are there, and we have to live, we have to live one day at a time. So today, as usual, I'm not alone. I have a beautiful and a powerful lady with us. She's been here before, and today she's taking us through this conversation on domestic violence. So you're most welcome to join in the conversation on our SMS line 21144 and in all our social media handles at GBS TV Africa. So you're most welcome. Yes. My dear.
Yes, Kate.
Kindly do introduce yourself to our viewer.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
This is Gakinjero, and always a pleasure to be here at GBS TV. I'm a marriage mentor, and it's always a pleasure anytime I come here and we tackle issues about family and about marriage.
Yeah.
And today's topic is is a sensitive topic,
Sure.
a topic that is very dear to my heart, because being a marriage mentor, you want every marriage to work.
Sure.
So when you hear cases of domestic violence in the family, it really touches my heart, because this is not what God intended when he instituted marriage or family. So yeah, we are here to handle that and to offer help. I believe God that will be able to offer help to whoever is out there and having questions about domestic violence, and also to still say that in as much as there is domestic violence in the family setup, that does not mean marriage cannot work. It can still work, and marriage is still a good thing, and there are marriages that are still working.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome to be
Thank
with
you.
us here today. And I love how you've said that God did not intend for us to be
In this kind of
awful.
situation.
Yes. He intended that we be happy
Absolutely.
in our marriages and in our society.
And to
'Cause-
dominate the earth
Yeah.
from the family point of view. Yeah.
So now, with that in mind, maybe domestic violence, maybe
Yeah.
someone is not understanding what is this domestic violence.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what it is in layman's language?
Yeah.
In a language that everyone will understand.
Yeah. I would describe domestic violence as a pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
It's, of course, it's a behavior that starts out and eventually becomes a pattern. And the main goal is to try and gain control over somebody.
Sure.
In an intimidating way. You want to gain control, you want to gain power, and you want to maintain it that way. And it happens through abuse.
That's true.
And so you can be in a situation where probably you're not being beaten, but there's still domestic violence in your home because there's some form of abuse that is going on. It may be physical, what now we see the fighting, the being beaten.
Yeah.
It may be an emotional abuse. It may be even financial abuse,
That's
where
true.
you're denied even your rights to even access finances or even to meet your basic needs, yet you're in a family or you're in a marriage kind of a setup, where even your very basic needs are denied. So that is all. Those are all types of domestic abuse or domestic violence. But the trigger is somebody who really wants to gain power and control over you and to intimidate you, see you lesser of a human being than they are.
So that they can
Yes.
take control.
They can take control over you
Okay.
for whatever reason. Yes.
A lot of people, when they were growing up, this was the norm in their families.
Yes.
And you find that if this was their norm, somehow they tend to carry on behavior and these patterns?
Yes. The reason is because we are a sum total of seeing things daily happening in our lives, and they eventually happen.
Sure.
We normally say in Swahili, mtoto wa nyoka ni nyoka.
Kweli.
Mtoto wa nyoka haezi kuwa jiwa ama ng'ombe ama anything else. Eh?
Sure.
So what you see all the time is what you become. And many of these people actually who are in situations where there is domestic violence, both for the men and the women, most of them actually are victims of such an upbringing. Either a girl who is being abused today saw her mother being abused, and she internalized that, and she settled for that, and eventually she ends up thinking that is the way of life.
This is normal.
This
It's
is
a normal way of
So
living.
eventually when she gets married and she gets abused, it happens. A man who is probably abusing the wife saw the father do it over and over again,
Sure.
internalized that, it formed something in him, so the insecurities are carried on. So even him, when he gets married, he exercises the same things.
Yeah.
A man who is also being abused.
Oh, even men are abused.
Men are also being abused in the family by these beautiful daughters.
You know,
of
usually
Sarah.
we see men as a symbol of power.
So
when you say
think
men are being abused,
they are being abused. And a man who is also being abused, he saw a lot of that, or something happened in his life that brought down his self-esteem so low. So even when he gets into a marriage setup and the abuse is going on, he may not even say anything. And kwanza, it's even worse when a man is being abused, because who is even going to tell? People will think you're lesser of a man. So they keep quiet. In fact, they suffer more.
they suffer in silence.
A man will not scream at night
Yeah.
when something bad is going on in his house. A girl Toto, with all her volume, she will scream and attract all the attention.
That's
but
true.
a man may not be able to do that. Yeah. So abuse is there are many causes, of course, but one major pattern that we are seeing nowadays, or we've seen over time, is where abuse was one time normalized because of what someone grew through. Yes.
So today, what are the other causes of abuse?
Wow. Now, today, I think, you know, I love quoting verses in the Bible that make sense for me. And a lot of, I don't know why some verses make sense to me now more than when I was younger, yet it's the same Bible. Maybe it's because now I've grown and I'm seeing more things happen more. But there's this verse that says that in the last days there will be a lot of wickedness.
Yeah.
Wickedness will keep increasing, you know. And truly, if you look at the kind of society we are living in today, a lot of wickedness is happening.
That's true.
A lot of it. A lot of injustice, a lot of things that are causing pain. You can imagine in this society where we are living in, frustration is top number one, because frustration is what is even leading to depression.
Yeah.
So a man is there, he's so frustrated with life, the only way he can vent, he won't vent out there at his place of work. He'll always come and vent to the very person who loves him so much, who cares for him. That is the person who receives the hardest blow.
And the children too.
And the kids. The place which should be his safe haven, or his you know, place yake ya kutulia and, you know, release all the anger, that is the same place he comes and you know, they are the victims of his frustration. So frustration is one thing that is on the rise in bringing around the domestic violence.
Yeah.
Now, when a man is frustrated, he's not functioning as he ought to function. He underperforms. Then when he underperforms in all areas, at work, in the bed, he will underperform everything.
Sure.
He eventually becomes very insecure because now he feels I'm not a man enough. So to cover his insecurity, he ends up using, because of that cowardness, so he ends up using the fist to show you, I may be weak inside, but the only energy now at that point he can rely on is his physical energy.
That's
and
true.
true enough, men are stronger than women.
That's
I
true.
mean, body-wise,
Yeah.
majority. Well, right now tumejua kwenda gym and lift some weights.
Bado
So,
hatuwezi measure up.
we still can't measure up.
Yeah.
So the man is left there to flex his muscles so that he can still show you that he's a man. Kumbe, he's just handling an insecurity that's going on within him. Another cause of this domestic violence, we are looking at it from the man point of view. We will come to the ladies. Another cause, and something else that is also happening with the men that is making them a bit violent, like we said, of course, is their upbringing. It's also the stiff competition or uncalled for, competition that is uncalled for between the man and the woman in the society today.
Okay, so these humans are competing within marriage or?
Within marriage, at your workplace,
Yes.
in the church, anywhere. You know, the phrase that says, what a man can do, a woman can do better. Now, if you keep telling your man that, he will gonga you so that he can show you, oh, there's one thing you can't do better than me. You know, all those kind of things. There's a lot of competition.
Now that you say that, I remember a lady telling me one time, she was set to get married to someone who was not educated as she was.
Yeah.
And now the dad was telling her that if you continue pursuing this relationship, let me tell you what will happen. Number one, this person maybe will cheat on you because you are above his standards. Financially and even education-wise.
Okay.
The next thing, this person will be hitting you so hard to affirm his, his power over you. Because now you are insisting on going into this marriage. You just go, but let me caution you what will happen. So the sad bit is that this lady continued into the relationship. He got married. And what the dad had cautioned
is what happened.
Now, when you're talking about competition, I see it at work.
Yes, there's a lot of competition, and I call it uncalled for. It's not justifiable, because even if a lady, no matter how high rank a lady goes, in as far as her career is concerned and things like that, remember we said marriage is based on the principles of God.
Yes.
He's the one who founded it. He put principles on how marriage should operate. And the principle of the man is the head, the woman is below the man, or is led by the man. That principle will never change. And that is why people will start fighting about it. Because a lady wants to come with all her papers and all her degrees and everything and want to, play at an equal table with the man and imagine that you can actually overturn and overrule things now ikue wewe ndio uko juu and the man is below. It is never going to happen. If you try to change that order, you call it disorder, and everywhere there is disorder, definitely fights will come.
Yeah, there is
yes,
chaos.
you cannot change that order because it's not even man-made, it's God-made.
Wow.
Yes.
I love that. It is God-made.
It's God-made, it's not man-made.
So
that order is God-made.
People are here trying to reinvent the wheel.
You cannot reinvent marriage.
Wow.
You can only become better in being a better partner,
Sure.
working on yourself, learning how to submit as a wife, but you cannot change how it is supposed to operate. And that is why we are having the fights, because even the men themselves, they are trying to reinvent marriage by chapping this lady. Yet the Bible says, treat your wife.
Yeah, love your wife.
Love your wife. Treat her as a weaker vessel. Treat her with care. Remember, your prayers will not be answered as a man if you are not working well with your wife. Malachi chapter 2 says, God is rebuking in Malachi chapter 2. And he said, you've dealt treacherously with the wife of your youth. You've dealt with violence with the wife of your youth. And God holds it against you as a man.
Wow.
But then the men are thinking that you can change that and beat a woman and twist God and think God will turn his face. He won't. He will expect you as a man. Handle your wife with care as a weaker vessel.
Yeah.
We cannot change that.
Wow.
The same way the woman is supposed to submit and be under the man, the same way the man should also take his role. You cannot bring violence into a marriage and think God will overlook. He won't. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So let me help our viewer capture all this.
Yeah.
The reason as to why we have domestic violence, sijui
Yeah.
kama tume-exhaust so far. But one thing we've talked about, the normalized patterns that maybe we have received from our parents.
Very true.
And them have received from their parents. So this thing has been coming down generations, and it has been a pattern that is recurring.
Absolutely.
The other one is frustrations. Regarding maybe life as it is, someone is frustrated and then brings all these frustrations and pours them on their loved ones. And the other one, we've talked about the competition. I love that one. Competition where people are just, competing, who has power, who has this more, and then that is bringing in strife in our marriages. There are more.
Yes. I want to look at it from the side of the lady, where ladies are also suffering the same frustration. Unfortunately, when you're married and your husband is not being the breadwinner that he should be, that frustration builds up.
Yeah.
That resentment builds up. Sometimes a man is an alcoholic. Every day unamtoa kwa mtaro. Every day unaitia mama fulani, bwanako amelala huko nje. That frustration builds up. That resentment builds up.
Sure.
And this woman may get to a point where she tips off, and on the day when you're so drunk, she decides to tandika you, beat you up. Because she may not try to beat you up when you're in your normal self.
Yes, this is a point of weakness that she just chooses to take advantage
of that point of weakness and teach the man a lesson. According to her, that's what she thinks she's doing. And it is because of that frustration. And it's very sad because when you're in a marriage and needs are not met, that's another place where a lot of this abuse would come from. Sure. When a need is not met. People are walking with unmet needs, so dissatisfied.
Sure.
And you're expecting me to perform as a wife or him to perform as a man. But my needs are not being met. I can't have a meal in that house. There are women who will not cook. There are men who will not even provide. Those unmet needs that are unspoken, people don't even discuss, they also build up to that frustration.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. So people need to be... Now, in that way, when you're talking about the unmet needs, and you talk about this woman here, she has food, she has kids to feed, but there's no provisions.
Yes.
Now, I'm thinking of scenarios where the woman can provide, the man has failed, but still goes ahead to continue being abused like this. Now, in this case...
The woman is being abused.
Yes.
And the man has also failed.
Yeah.
That's where now you come to the place where you're like, why is this man still abusing a woman that he is not even providing to? And we said some of it is what he has seen happening. He ends up growing with this issue of women are not to be valued. And some of our African cultures are very crazy.
Yeah.
Because they believe that that beating a woman is disciplining her.
Yes.
And punishment is not discipline. When I punish you, I'm not disciplining you.
Sure.
Even when we punish our children, sometimes we inflict pain on them because you in your mind you think you're punishing, but that child ends up repeating the same behavior. You've not put discipline. You correct. And the Bible even says the rod of correction. So when a woman is being punished as if she's a kid, you cannot say you love that person.
Sure.
But our cultures, where we come from, mwanamke lazima achapwe.
Yeah, there's that, I think, in Kisiland, where they believe that a woman has to be beaten by their husband to show the love.
Yeah.
And others will do it as a sport.
That's nonsense. Yeah. So, if abuse is still continuing in such a home, this woman probably, in her heart, she's like, I can't leave. I have children here. I have a reputation. Like what was happening with that gospel
Yeah.
minister in Nigeria. The people who are talking now are saying she wanted to secure her family. She wanted to cover her family. She really was there because of the children and stuff like that. That's why you find a woman is the one hustling, but then she will still be abused. On top of that, she has nothing to even feed her children. And it's very, very sad. It's a sad state of affair, and that's why it needs to be spoken out.
Yeah.
And of course, nowadays, women are getting a little bit more empowered. They're able to talk when abuse is going on.
Yeah.
In fact, the place that has the place that has been left with a lot of issues in handling domestic violence is the church.
Yeah.
Otherwise, other people have started now speaking out. Lakini hapo kanisani, I think we are still afraid of handling it.
Well, I think we're going to come back and talk about that. That is an issue that is very sensitive, and especially when you talk about church. Now, my dear viewer, I hope you're coming along into this conversation, and you can see, first of all, the causes of domestic violence. Be very keen to note that. If you're not there, not to get there, or you can caution someone to be very keen. So please, we are going to take a sip of water on this side, and please don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with more.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome, my dear viewer. We are continuing with this conversation on domestic violence. Now, before the break, we learned about the causes of domestic violence. And going forward, we want to look at, can you really point out an abuser before you even get into the relationship? Or maybe if your loved ones are going through this abuse, how can you point out and how can you help them? So, Coach.
Yeah.
Tusaidie hapa. Can you really point out an abuser before you get into the marriage?
Yes, you can. And sometimes no. No, because when we fall in love, we fall and forget ourselves.
Sure.
But nowadays we are telling people, fall in love, but keep your mind. Don't let your mind go with the falling. And you remember there's a show we did here, and I said, think about growing in love more than falling in love.
Yes.
Because if you're growing in love, you're reading each other, you know, you're understanding each other.
Your mind is woke.
Your mind is alert.
Yes, yes.
All your senses, even your spirit man is into this thing, and you can be quickly warned, you know. Your sixth sense can tell you when there's something wrong. Or the Holy Spirit of God, you can tell you when there's something wrong. So it's better to grow in love than just to allow yourself to fall. So if somebody is alert, you're able to tell. And those are what we call red flags.
Yes, yes.
If you're in a relationship, this person has not even engaged you yet. They've not even gone to your home to see your parents. But the way this person talks to you, he raises his voice at you anyhow.
Yes,
Probably you are just late at work. You're supposed to meet, and you get late at work, and you arrive to where you're meeting late. And the guy is so uncontrollably mad. You know, he's annoyed. He does not want to understand you. He bangs the table on you. He throws his phone at you.
And you're dating.
He hasn't put his hand on you.
Yes.
But he has the tendencies to do that. He may not even put his hand on you when you're in marriage, but he will abuse you in other ways.
Yes, yes.
So you have to look for those red flags. Not only to you, how does he behave around his parents? Because the children of this generation ni wale wa kurudishia mzazi mdomo. Ako na hiyo tabia kwa mzazi wake.
Yes,
and you know, tumezoea kurushiwa mdomo. Mtoto anakurudishia mdomo, unaambia ai baba na wewe, wacha hiyo mchezo. You know, you lenga it. You assume that. Kumbe something is growing in this child. One day, this child is going to exhibit those same characters to his wife and even his children. Atarudishia hata mdosi wake mdomo. So look at such signs. When you send him a text, like when he's mad and you're apologizing, how is he responding to an apology? Is he a forgiving person? When he is on the wrong, is he resentful? Is he quick to say sorry? You know, sometimes you tell people those things and they're like, but see, ni mimi nilikuwa nimekosea ama you make excuses. Don't make excuses for a grown up.
There's also these other characters who will say, wacha hiyo maneno iishe.
Yes.
Instead of apologizing,
yes,
they brush it off.
Exactly. They are too proud to even produce the word sorry from their mouth.
Yeah.
Or anytime you have an issue and you guys are dating, you sweep everything under the carpet. You sweep everything under the carpet. Eventually, those things will come up. Those are some of the red flags you have to check out.
Yeah.
How he addresses you before his friends.
Yes.
Or before your friends. Does he show respect? When he's talking to you and I'm in the presence of other people, how does he address you? All those things. Then also, sit down when you go for those coffee dates. Ask him about his background.
Yeah.
Find out whether there's a history of abuse. And not only now from the home, even in school. Was he bullied? Was he a bully? Find out all those kind of things. Because they will inform the kind of emotions this person has or carries. And I don't say that if you came from an abusive family, you cannot marry. No. But you can go through the process of accepting that this is who I am and these are the changes I am making.
Okay.
We all have something in our history that affects us.
True.
So before marriage, yes, it's very possible to identify an abuser. And don't make excuses for a grown-up. Even for you, man, who is dating a girl,
Yeah.
anakurushianga mdomo mbele ya watu. Does she disrespect you? How does she address you? As the man who is going to be one day her husband.
Yeah.
You know? And we women, we may not show a lot of violence through the hand, but we may show a lot of violence through the mouth.
That's true.
The words we speak. Even the Bible itself says our words should be full of grace
Sure.
and wisdom. How does she speak to you? How does she address you?
Yeah.
When you call her, does she begin by saying, wewe sasa hukunipigia simu na nilikuwa nimekoja nipigia simu, and she goes, you know,
Cherehani fulani
and even at the
hapo.
point at which you're apologizing, she's not acknowledging that apology. So those are things you look at.
Wow.
And I don't say you end the relationship because you notice those things, but that is where now premarital counseling comes in.
Okay.
That is where mentorship before marriage comes in. Because sometimes someone is behaving na hajui ako na hizo tabia. Will you go breaking every heart because they realized you have weaknesses? You date this one, you leave. You date this one, you leave. No. You go for counseling. You start a mentorship program. You learn, you read books. You make deliberate choices.
Yeah.
To change before you get into marriage. Yeah.
Because it's to say all those red flags, now when you get into the marriage, they'll be amplified.
They will be amplified. You know, there's a way marriage comes with like a comfort.
Yes, yes.
You unleash all those two demons. You
Unazoeana
become now
kabisa.
the real you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lady here sending me a message. She's saying, hello there. Thank you for this conversation. I've been in marriage for 3 years and I've been beaten up severely.
3 years.
Yes.
All
Even
right.
when I was pregnant. He corrects me even when I'm praying.
Oh.
He corrects me even when we're having conversation with our friends. I've ran away from our home, marital home, for several times, but I still come back. I love this guy. I don't see a life without him, but I'm so tired also. That's what she's saying.
Okay. She
So-
has to decide what she is. She has to decide whether she's tired or she can't do without. Yeah.
I love that.
It's that you can't be both. Okay, you may have the feelings for both, but she has now to come to a place where she decides, is it tired that I am tired or is it a life I can't live with this person? You can't be both. But I also want to address the lady and say this. Sometimes people will stick into an abusive relationship because you feel like it validates you as a human being. Validate you meaning this. If you've had issues of self-esteem, low self-esteem, and eventually you've worked through your self-esteem and you've gotten a man, and now you're married, you think marriage validates you as a human being, or it gives you a sense of belonging, or a sense of acceptance. It gives you some attention. You kind of feel like that place is a goal achieved. So you imagine, how am I going to live out of a marriage when it's the one that gives me meaning?
Yes, yes.
Why? Because you have never cultivated your own life. around the desires and the passions you have as a human being and build up, you know, you have a passion for life, have a desire to be, you know, to do well and stuff like that. You waited for marriage to come and define you.
Yes, yes.
Or you waited for marriage to come and validate you as a human being. That person will find it very hard to leave an abusive situation because it gives them a sense of belonging. Some people have normalized abuse, so much so such that they think a part of them is being taken away. They make abuse an addiction. That toxic environment becomes an addiction. That is why you will wonder, this person who drinks every day, anaangukanga kwa mtaro, anajikojolea, anaamka hapo. He's so frustrated about that situation when he's down. But he's the same person who will go to the house, sleep, after he's sober, wake up, dress up, the same friends, go back to them. What is that? It's that addiction to that lifestyle.
Okay.
So even this lady, she has to, that's why I said she has to decide what is she. Is she tired? Or is she deciding that she can't live with this man? Where is she at? Because she could be living in an abusive marriage because she has internalized it. It has become part of her. She's addicted to that.
Now, this is the case also, Coach, where a lady goes, runs from
the home.
Yeah, from where she's abused.
Yes.
Runs from the abuser, goes to their home.
Yes.
When she gets home, the mother is like, now, you, how many things do you know, I've gone through.
Mimi nimepitia mangapi na sikutoka. And
so you go back and build your home.
And that is the wisdom.
Yes.
That is the wisdom our parents had then. It cannot work today. It cannot work today. And you know, there's a way walikuwa anachapa hiyo miaka.
Yes.
It's not the way people are being beaten today.
Yeah.
A man who is beating you, that time ya wazazi wetu, he'll beat you, and in the evening he'll come with a kilo of meat. You know, that's how they used to be.
Yeah.
He'll still provide for his children. Watoto wake bado wanasoma. But you cannot say that because it was done that time, that it is okay today. It is not okay. Our mothers that time, they had ways to even vent. They had women, they were living with their mothers-in-law, they were living in the same compound with the other sisters that are married into that home, and you know, all that kind of a setup. Yeah. They had many ways to vent. And at the end of the day, there's no man who was even beating to kill. And those even who did it, those who used to beat, and I'm not trying to say they were right, but a man was very careful to make sure his home stands. Those years, family was really valued. Because every man walking in the village, he wants to be told, hey, ule ni wa ngania, ama so and so or so and so. You know, family, ule mzeni, you know? Yeah. So you cannot start saying that and actually I want to tell those mothers and fathers who tell their children, go back and vumilia. That is so wrong. You chose to vumilia, but her situation is not your situation.
Yeah.
What this mother went through is not what this girl is going through. Times have changed. Anagongwa kichwa. Maybe when you slap tu ulikuwa unaekelewa moja na unalala. You understand? So you cannot compare both situations.
True.
Yeah.
Now, there's also a situation where we've seen that whenever a person now, like in the first case, the first question, she has gone back to her home then, but still goes back to the abuser's home.
Yes.
And continues with life. And
you will find she does that herself. She will, and you know, I think there's a time we were talking about marriage again, and we were saying it matters how a marriage starts. It really matters how a marriage starts.
Okay.
Because this girl who keeps on going back, maybe she's weighing her options and she's saying, I'm a disgrace to my family. First of all, maybe even the method by which she was married was wrong. Akuolewa in the right way. In the right way, I mean, maybe she found herself pregnant and she was forced into a marriage that she was not ready for. Down the line, she gets baby 2, baby number 3, like that. This one is saying she has stayed there for 3 years. Most likely, this lady has an issue with her own self-esteem, which she needs to check. Because why is she going back to an environment which she knows totally this is a toxic environment? Why is she going back there? Sure. There's something within her that is telling her, you can't do without that man. Maybe this man has abused her so much. Ama maybe when he was not abusing her, he made her feel so good. that she was
Yes,
not
yes.
able to draw the line even when he started abusing her. Maybe akozile, ai siamini ni yule John wangu, aki siamini. Ai Kamau haezi kuwa ametani hivyo, siamini, you know? So she keeps going back hoping he
That
will change.
Yeah, he'll go back to restore to factory settings.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
and that might not happen very soon.
Yeah.
So, and we want people to understand that we are not against marriage. In fact, we advocate for marriage. But where there is an abuse, and you keep going back to that toxic environment, you need to take a break and sit down and imagine, is this the kind of life I am called out for? And is this what I want? And if that's what you want, then let me tell you, the most difficult people to cancel are people who are in abusive relationships and they themselves have not realized it. She may be knowing anachapangwa, but haja internalize hiyo kitu, haja accept, she's still in denial. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you look at all this, it seems like this person, first of all, does not have energy or hajielewi kabisa.
Ni denial. You look at things unfolding before your very eyes. Have you ever seen a mother whose son has gotten spoiled and he's a thief and things like that? What does that mother say? That mother is in denial. Aamini. Ngumu sana huyo mama aseme, yes, my son is a thief.
Yeah.
Very, very hard.
That's true.
So this lady is in that state where she can't believe this is a marriage that has gone wrong. Especially if she got married and she knew this man in a different way, then he changes along the lines.
Okay.
And again, there's a lot of stigma out there that wants to make you keep going back, especially kwa village. Can you imagine me now going back to live in the village? Everyone will know msichana wa fulani alitoka kwa bwanake.
Wow. We are coming back to that because there's also the influence of society and the church into all this. So my dear viewer, I hope you're coming along into this, and you can see for sure if someone is going through this domestic violence, you need to call yourself to a kamkutano and ask yourself, is this the life that I really want for myself? Number 2, do you know who you really are? And is that the life you want for the rest of your life? So as Coach has told us, and especially for the lady who is going through this domestic violence, you need to first of all know what it is you want. That do you really want to, continue into this relationship where you're saying you love this person and you don't see a life without him? Now the other one, do you know, do you remain tired so that you can make a decision? So you really need to know who you are and what it is that you want. So as we go forward, I wish you take a short break, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more, and especially on the stand of the society and the church on domestic violence and how all this is affecting domestic violence. So we'll be right back.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, Via. We continue with the conversation on domestic violence. You can join in the conversation on our SMS line 21144 and in all our social media handles at GBS TV Africa. Keep the questions coming in the comments. Now, this is a very sensitive topic here, but we have to live one day at a time. So as we go on, Coach.
Yeah.
What is the role of society, because and the church also, because like in the case of the lady in Nigeria, and I know this is also the case of very many other people here in Kenya and in the society at large. The church somehow has been covering these things because whenever you go with this, you're told you need to submit more, maybe there's something you're not doing, and they seem to cover this whole thing. And for that reason, we can see many deaths.
Yeah.
And these are the people, you can hear even people talking of, we were raised by a priest or a father or a pastor to say, but our home was chaotic and all that.
Okay.
So to say the church is somehow harboring all this.
I think I would want to say this. When it comes to the issues of church or faith, let me say faith and domestic violence, sometimes, and I think this is what was happening in the life of Osinachi, sometimes personal convictions have to come to play. What you believe and what you want to fight for. Because again, It's the same Bible that says God hates divorce.
Yes, yes.
So this whole matter has to be handled in a very balanced way. And if this lady felt she doesn't want to leave her marriage because she wants to remain on the course for the sake of her salvation and her faith, that was her personal conviction. And you cannot blame the church for it. Because I am sure her pastor I saw her pastor trying to give a statement.
Yes,
and
yes.
he said some of the things were hidden to him. He did not know. He didn't know the extent of these things.
Okay.
Because, and you know, human beings, we are very good with patching up
Yes, yes,
things
yes.
when we are outside, but when we are inside the house, things are different. And maybe this was her personal conviction, and she felt she will be pleasing her God by doing it. And maybe she felt, well, if this is martyrdom for me, then so be it. You know, there are people who die for the cause of the faith,
and she
and
died.
they stick there.
That's sad.
And she stuck there. And that's why I'm saying it comes to a point where a pastor cannot pull you out of an abusive marriage.
That's true.
Sometimes it has to take your personal conviction, what you believe in, what faith you're exercising. Okay? But truth be told also, we cannot watch and you know, ignore the fact that Bible says because of the hardness of heart, Moses allowed for divorce. So all these things we are facing with domestic violence, infidelity, all these things that lead people to separate, it is because of the hardness of heart. If human beings could just submit themselves, like the Bible says, submit yourselves one to another.
Yes, yes.
Watu waache kiburi mingi, kujiinua mingi, competition nyingi. Be yourself. Submit yourselves. If it's the woman, submit. If it's a man, love. Have your heart right with God.
Yes, yes.
Have your heart in the right place. That hardness of heart itaisha, na mtaweza kusolve whatever it is that is eating up your marriage. Then these issues of divorce, we would not hear about them. So even when the church comes in, and I will speak as personally as a born again Christian and as a marriage mentor, my stand is this, and I know this would also be the stand of my pastor. If there's an issue in a marriage that is life-threatening, like now in that case of domestic violence, what we advise is separation, but with an intention for reconciliation.
Okay.
Where you separate, seek counseling, seek help, come out of the toxic environment, go into a safe haven, but the intention is for reconciliation. We are not advocating for permanent divorce in that case, because we want to take you out of that environment where there's the blows, the children are seeing them, you know, all that, the children are experiencing that. So you want to take people out of that situation and be able to handle the man, be able to handle the woman separately, be able to handle the children. By God's grace, trusting God, we get good mediators, you're able to bring this family back together. That is always the agenda, to be able to bring them back together.
That's true.
Yeah? So, but I will also not ignore the fact that, I'm not ignorant of the fact that there are some pastors out there who care so much about the image of the congregation or the image of his church more than the safety and the security of the members. So in that case, that also needs to be addressed.
That's true.
Image versus the safety of a person's life. I mean, image is so little when it comes to the safety of someone's life. So it's very important to be put in a balance. There's a very big balance to be put in. But like I said, a pastor cannot pull you out of your marriage. It has to be a personal decision. He will give you the counseling you need. He will give you the help you need. But at the end of the day, it is somebody who has to stand up and say, you know what, this is not right for me, and you pull out. The people we seek to save are the children. The people we seek to save are the children. When a woman says, I'm not going to leave this marriage because of the children, how much damage are you doing to them when now they are seeing the abuse there daily? It's better you get them out of that abuse. it's better you get them out of that job. Because when you say I'm not leaving because of the children, yet unagongwa every day, it's even worse than if you are somewhere in a single room with your children alone and they are going to school and they are comfortable, they are at peace. It's better that than when they're in a house where they are being beaten every day, you're being beaten every day. That image never gets out of their mind.
Now, talking of image, there are people, maybe they are not so much of church followers, but they also want to maintain a certain image in the society.
Yes.
That my marriage is whole. I'm a church woman, and my marriage has to remain like this whole. Yet they are suffering. And when I think of domestic violence, it's not only the grown-ups who will suffer. The children suffer most. And even you can see the reason as to why some of these things are being normalized, because people are in a setting of where people are fighting all the time. So I wish you could talk to someone like that who is still trying to hold an image, and even maybe someone who is totally lost, doesn't know what to do. Give them a solution on how they can try to come out of this situation, this mess.
Again, your own personal conviction. What do you want? You can stop it. You can stop the violence by walking out. It's not a sin to walk out of an abusive marriage.
That's true.
Because you can heal when you're out there and still get reconciled.
Yes.
That's what I want to say. But in a case where reconciliation is not even in the picture, I mean, the other party is not even willing to talk or stuff like that, please be safe. That's the most important thing. You as a woman or you as a man, and you're in a toxic environment, take care of yourself. Forget about the image. Forget about the image. Because we people out here, we will see that you're in a happy marriage. But the day you die, let me tell you, like for me, I was like, the day that lady in Nigeria died, at some point I was getting mad. Because everyone now is talking about the abuse. And I was like, how come nobody was saying this when she was alive? You understand? Because we've been cultured never to mind other people's business. Mind your own business. So even now, you keep living in that marriage thinking that you're saving the image for yourselves. But the day you die, we will not mind our business. We will anika you everywhere. We will talk about it.
And
we will put it out there on online. So be safe. You have a better life to live. And I think the other thing that makes somebody want to save image so much is because that is where you think you can find your identity. Marriage is not your identity.
And now in this African setting, because it's like where everyone should get their, because the society pushes you,
Yes.
unaolewa lini,
Yes.
unaleta mtu
And that
lini.
is not, there are people who are doing so well and they are not married.
Yeah.
A lady like Cindy Trim has gotten married in her 60s. And she says she's gotten married in her 60s and she has lived the best life. Because she found purpose even when she was a single girl. She found her purpose and pursued it. So do not let marriage identify you.
Yeah.
There is much more than just staying in an abusive marriage. But I am saying this with all the hope that marriage works and that marriage can also be restored regardless. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, people should choose themselves, because when life is being, your own life is being threatened at the expense of remaining, painting this beautiful image. Because my mother said I have to get married because,
Yeah. Do not succumb to such pressures. If let me ask you, if at your place of work, your boss abuses you, you want to resign the following morning. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So how come here you are comfortable living in that abuse?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It doesn't make sense. And this is a daily thing.
And this is so toxic.
Yeah.
It's not only affecting you, it's affecting even your children.
That's true.
Yeah. We hope and we pray that people will begin to read the signs before they enter into marriage so that we minimize the cases of violence. And once we've minimized the cases of violence, at least more marriages can survive.
Yeah.
But again, I also know tumekuwa watu wa kujipenda sana. So sometimes even when there's no violence, people want to create violence so that you can have an excuse to walk out of your marriage and things like that. People need to be very careful. When God entrusts you with a marriage, he expects you to work at it.
Yes, yes.
Work on that marriage for it to work. It is work. You cannot be lazy and say you won't work and then expect good results. You have to put in the work. Okay. But where you have done everything you can to stand and the ground is still shaking, then do something about it. Because sometimes you put all the effort. You do everything you know how to. You pray all the prayers that you know how to pray. You do all the counseling, but the beating is not ending. I mean, it is becoming harder and harder every day. Then you have to take a stand and do something about it. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Coach. This has been very eye-opening. And I wish you could give your parting shot. Time is running out on us.
Yes. So my parting shot is this. Something that we didn't discuss, but I wanted to say this because we didn't really look at how to recognize a partner. Now you're already in marriage and the signs are changing. I want to say this. If someone derives fun from intimidating you or embarrassing you in front of people, or uses phrases like, wewe hata ukienda, you can't make it out there without me. Those are telltale signs for you to be careful that this person wants this person is getting abusive. Look at those telltale signs. Do not ignore them. Intimidation, someone always telling you can't do it without me, you're nothing without me. Those are signs that you need to look out for. And if something like that is happening, please seek for help. Do not bury it under the carpet. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been an honor having you. And we always get solutions from Coach. Coach Gaki.
By the grace of God.
Yes. God has given you wisdom. And I'm happy for that. My dear viewer, we are almost coming to the closure of this program at this very moment, episode that is. And I thank you very much for being with me. Now you've learned on the various, causes of domestic violence from, normalizing patterns that are being passed down from generation to generation. The other thing is frustration that is also causing domestic violence. Competition, that is what Coach called unnecessary competition, that is, pushing people to strive and fighting here and there. The other thing she's told us on how to point out the red flags when someone is being offensively angry because you've done something small or something very, let me call it stupid, and then they are taking it too personal or too, they become too much. The emotions are all over the place and out of place. So there's also the ways we can handle this as a society. We have to normalize that abuse is not part of life. Is not part of what God envisioned for us in our marriages. We are supposed to stay in a happy and a very safe environment. So if you are not in a safe environment, Coach has told us on how we can get ourselves in a safe environment. If something is too much, you can separate yourself for a while with a vision of, being reconciled back when you go through counseling. And if someone is also, exuding the signs of being abusive in any way, we say abuse is physical, emotional, or even financial. You have to go through counseling if it has not gotten to a point where it is physical and is threatening your life. So you need to go through counseling, make use of the counseling services that are available. A lot of resources have been put out here on, helping people reconcile, even helping you also learn yourself and even get a hold of your emotions so that you live with your loved ones in a very perfect way without fighting them and without creating havoc for your own life. Because when you're causing you're causing life to be very, miserable for your loved ones, you also don't get to live in a happy environment. So make use of counseling. It's all over the place. Coach here is a counselor, is a coach. She can guide you into all this so that you can live a happy life with your loved ones. So don't accept this life that to be yours. You have to accept thinking of who you are and what it is you want. So until next time, I want to leave you here. Bye-bye.